welcome you to another 5-Minute Fix. And this week I want to talk to you about the importance of your words. I want to talk to you about the language of faith. We serve a God who speaks faith. He calls those things which be not as though they were. He always speaks his desired outcome, and we as imitators of God should do the same. In the beginning, the Bible says that God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness covered the face of the deep. Basically, the earth was messed up. The Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters, and God said, listen to what he didn't say. He didn't say, man, the earth sure is messed up. Or he didn't say, it sure is dark out here. No, he spoke what he wanted. He said, let there be light. And there was light, and he saw the light. And the evening and the morning were the first day. Why did he say? He spoke what he desired, and what he desired and what he spoke was what came to pass. That's all throughout the Bible. One time, the Lord came to a man named Gideon. At this time, the Israelites were under captivity, and Gideon was hiding under a tree, and he was threshing wheat under a tree. He was making sure that nobody saw him. He was basically afraid. And the Lord, the Spirit of the Lord, the angel of the Lord came to Gideon and said, Gideon, you mighty man of valor, you champion. And Gideon starts looking around and said, whoa, who are you talking about? I mean, I don't know if you know this, but I'm from the tribe of Manasseh, and my tribe is the weakest tribe. And out of my tribe, I'm like the weakest guy. In other words, I'm the weakest man from the weakest clan. But we serve a God that doesn't speak to our right now stage. He always speaks to our to be stage. He calls those things which be not as though they were. And he looked at a weakling and called him a warrior. He looked at a coward and called him a champion. And that's the kind of God that we serve. Eventually, Gideon became what the Lord saw in him. Another time, God picks out a 75-year-old man and a 65-year-old woman, and they never had any children. Matter of fact, the woman was barren all her life, and the Lord takes them and says that I'm going to make out of you a great nation. Once again, speaking the end from the beginning, calling those things which be not as though they were, speaking the language of faith. It's all throughout the Bible. One time there was a woman that came up to Jesus. Her menstrual cycle had been stuck in the on position. She had been bleeding for 12 years straight. And the Levitical law said that if she was bleeding, she couldn't be around other people. She was basically unclean. So she was a prisoner in her own body. She couldn't socialize with people. She spent all her money on the physicians. The Bible says she didn't get any better. As a matter of fact, she grew worse. So she was financially broke, physically debilitated, socially an outcast, psychologically distraught. She's trapped in her own body, and she hears about a man named Jesus, and I don't know how she did it, but she spoke the language of faith. She said, if I could just but touch his clothes, I shall be made whole. And she went out there and she touched his clothes, and exactly what she said came to pass. It's amazing. She spoke the language of faith. And it happened just like she said. It wasn't in the method because other people touched Jesus, but it was in her faith. It was in her confession. It was in what she said. One last example, and I'm running out of time. When Jesus was dealing with this woman, it was because he was going to a man named Jairus' house. This man Jairus had a little girl. She was 12 years old and she was dying. He was a ruler of the synagogue. He knew all the priests, but he knew that they didn't have the power to heal his daughter. So he went to basically their enemy, to the enemy of his friends, and he bowed down before Jesus. He said, my little daughter, watch this. He spoke the truth. He didn't sugarcoat it. She's at the point of death. But here comes the language of faith. If you would come and lay your hands on her, she shall recover and she shall live. And guess what happened? At the end of the story, yes, she died along the way. Things got worse before it got better. But at the end of the story, Jesus did exactly what he said. He laid his hands on her and she recovered and she lived and she got better. She came back to life just like Jairus said, because he spoke the language of faith. So this week, I just want you to think about your words. What are your words saying about you? What are your words? The Bible says, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. What's in you abundantly will come out of you eventually, and whatever's coming out of you is an indication of what's in your heart. So what is it that you're saying? Do you really believe God for healing, but then go out and spend the whole day saying my back is killing me? Or do you believe God to deliver you, but then you go out and you just talk about the bondage all week long? You got to be careful that your words are not keeping you in your situation. Call those things which be not as though they were. Speak your desired outcome. Speak the language of faith. Just use the word, believe the word, and declare it by faith. Stand on the promises of God. Ask God to get manifested in your life, and you release him. You actually activate him to move in your life with your words. Speak the language of faith, and your life will never be the same. I'm Rick Pena. This has been your 5 Minute Fix. God bless you.